The ambush happened at breakfast. I'd come over for what I thought was a casual Sunday morning meal with my parents, but the moment I walked in, I knew something was wrong. My brother Trevor sat at the dining table with his wife Amanda and their 2 kids. My sister Monica was there with her husband Paul. Even my aunt and uncle had shown up. "Sit down, Alex," Dad said, gesturing to the single empty chair facing everyone else. "We need to talk." I sat, coffee mug in hand, waiting. "Your mother and I have been discussing family finances," Dad began, standing at the head of the table like he was chairing a board meeting. "Specifically, the distribution of family assets." "Assets?" I asked carefully. "The house you're living in," Mom said. "The one on Westwood Avenue. We need to talk about that." "My house." The craftsman bungalow I'd purchased 8 years ago when the previous owners retired to Florida. "What about it?" Dad pulled out a folder. "That house was in this family for 40 years. Your grandmother lived there. I grew up there. It's part of our family history." "It was," I agreed. "Until your parents sold it 25 years ago when they moved to the retirement community." "That was a mistake," Dad said firmly. "That house should have stayed in the family. It should have been passed down. But it wasn't. It was sold. To the Hendersons. Who then sold it to me 8 years ago." Trevor leaned forward. "The point is, it's a family house. It has sentimental value. And frankly, you don't need all that space. 3 bedrooms for 1 person? It's excessive. Trevor and Amanda need room for the kids," Mom added. "Their apartment is too small. The schools in your neighborhood are excellent. It makes sense." I took a sip of coffee, buying time. "Makes sense for what, exactly?" "For you to give them the house," Dad said flatly. "Trevor has a family. Real responsibilities. You're 36, single, working from home on that computer stuff. You could live anywhere." "Computer stuff?" "My software architecture consulting that generated $250,000 annually. Computer stuff." "So you want me to give Trevor my house?" I clarified. "We want you to do the right thing for the family," Dad corrected. "That house belongs with this family. With the next generation. Trevor's kids should grow up there like I did. Except you didn't grow up in my house. You grew up in the house your parents owned. Which they sold. To someone else. Who sold it to me." "Stop being difficult," Monica snapped. "You know what they mean. Family legacy, family responsibility. Some of us care about more than just ourselves." I checked my watch. 8:47 a.m. 13 minutes. "Here's the thing," I said calmly. "I bought that house legally. From the Hendersons. For $280,000. I've lived there for 8 years. I've renovated it, maintained it, paid property taxes on it. It's mine." "But it should be ours," Amanda said, speaking for the first time. "We're trying to give our children a good life. That house would be perfect. And you're being selfish by keeping it." "Selfish," I repeated. Interesting word choice. Dad's face was reddening. "We've made a decision as a family. Trevor needs that house. You're going to transfer the deed to him. We'll handle the paperwork." "No," I said simply. The room erupted. Trevor shouting about family loyalty. Monica calling me greedy. Aunt Carol chiming in about respect for elders. Amanda crying about her children's future. I sat quietly and waited for 9 a.m. The doorbell rang at exactly 9 o'clock. "Who's that?" Mom asked, annoyed at the interruption. "My legal team," I said, standing. "I invited them." I opened the door to find 3 people. Sandra Park, my real estate attorney, Michael Torres, my property manager, and Jennifer Wu, my financial advisor. They entered with briefcases and tablets, professional and prepared. "Everyone, these are my attorneys and property manager," I said, gesturing them to the living room. "I thought they should be present for this discussion about my property." Dad's face went from red to pale. "Alex, this is a family matter. We don't need lawyers. You're discussing transferring my property without my consent. That absolutely requires lawyers." I turned to Sandra. "Can you explain the situation?" Sandra opened her briefcase and pulled out a stack of documents. "Mr. and Mrs. Richardson, your son has informed me that you're requesting he transfer ownership of his property at 1847 Westwood Avenue to his brother. Is that correct?" "It's not a request," Dad said stiffly. "It's what's right for the family." "I see. Mr. Richardson, Do you have any legal claim to this property? It was my family's house. 25 years ago, yes. But your parents sold it in 1998. The property has changed hands twice since then. Your son purchased it legally in 2016. Do you dispute these facts? Dad's jaw worked, but he said nothing. Sandra continued. Alex Richardson is the sole legal owner of 1847 Westwood Avenue. Any transfer would require his voluntary consent and signature. Without that, any attempt to claim ownership would constitute fraud. We're not committing fraud. Mom protested. We're just asking him to do the right thing. The right thing, Michael Torres spoke up, opening his tablet, would be respecting property ownership laws. Which brings us to something Alex asked me to prepare. A full accounting of his real estate portfolio. The room went silent. Portfolio. Trevor's voice came out strangled. Michael turned his tablet to show the room. Alex owns 7 properties in this city. The Westwood Avenue house where he lives. 2 rental houses on the east side that generate $3,400 monthly. A duplex on Riverside Drive bringing in $3,800 monthly. And 3 condos downtown, total rental income $6,200 monthly. 7 properties? Monica whispered. That's just local holdings, Jennifer Wu added, opening her own portfolio. He also owns 4 properties in Austin, Texas and 2 in Portland, Oregon. Total portfolio, 13 properties across 3 states. Combined equity, approximately $3.2 million. Annual rental income, approximately $168,000 before expenses. The silence was absolute. $3 million? Mom's voice was barely audible. In property equity, yes, Jennifer confirmed. His total net worth, including investment accounts and business assets, is approximately $4.1 million. Trevor had gone completely white. Amanda looked like she might faint. Monica just stared, her mouth open. Dad sank into his chair. How is this possible? I started investing in real estate 13 years ago, I said calmly. Bought a small foreclosure, fixed it up, rented it out. Used that equity and income to buy the next property. Then the next. I've been building a portfolio while working full-time as a software architect. But you drive a 10-year-old Honda, Amanda said weakly. Because I invest my money instead of spending it on status symbols. That Honda runs perfectly. Why would I take on a car payment when I could put that money toward another property? You never told us, Mom said, tears starting to form. You never asked. You assumed I was struggling because I live simply. You assumed my work was computer stuff that barely paid the bills. You never once asked about my business, my investments, or my financial situation. But we're your family. Dad's voice cracked. Yes, you are. And you just tried to take my house without asking me. You gathered the whole family to pressure me into giving away a $380,000 asset to Trevor because you decided he needs it more than I do. Sandra spoke up again. For the record, any documents claiming to transfer Mr. Richardson's property without his signature would be legally void and potentially criminal. I need to make that absolutely clear. We weren't going to forge anything. Trevor said defensively. Then what was your plan? I asked. Guilt me into signing? Threaten to disown me? Make me choose between my property and my family? No one answered. Here's what you didn't know, I continued. The Westwood house isn't just sentimental to me. It's my home, yes, but it's also part of a carefully planned real estate strategy. I bought it because of the location, the school district, and the appreciation potential. It's increased in value by $100,000 since I bought it. I'm not giving that up. But Trevor's kids, Mom started, can live in one of the many houses Trevor can afford on his salary. He's an engineer making 6 figures. Amanda's a nurse. They have 2 incomes. They can buy a house. Not in that neighborhood, Trevor said bitterly. Then buy in a different neighborhood. Or rent something nice while you save. That's what I did. I rented a studio apartment for 5 years while I built my portfolio. I sacrificed. I planned. I didn't expect anyone to give me anything. Michael cleared his throat. Mr. Richardson, I should mention that Alex's Westwood property is actually generating income. He rents out the finished basement apartment for $1,200 monthly. Has for 6 years. Between that and the house appreciation, It's one of his best performing assets. You rent out part of your house? Monica looked shocked. Of course. It's a 3-bedroom with a separate basement entrance. Why wouldn't I monetize that space? Because it's your home. It's also an investment. That rental income pays my property taxes and insurance with money left over. I looked around at all of them. This is what you don't understand. I don't just own property. I run a real estate business. Every property serves a purpose. Every decision is strategic. The Westwood House isn't just a family memory. It's an asset in a portfolio I've spent 13 years building. Dad stood up shakily. We didn't know. We had no idea you were so successful. Because you never looked. You saw what you wanted to see. Single Alex with the old car and the quiet life. Obviously struggling. Obviously less important than Trevor with his family and Monica with her corporate job. That's not fair, Monica protested weakly. Isn't it? You called me selfish for wanting to keep my own house. You said Trevor has real responsibilities and I'm just working on computer stuff. You dismissed my entire career and financial success because it wasn't visible enough for you. Sandra began packing up her documents. Mr. and Mrs. Richardson, I trust this clarifies the legal situation. Alex is the sole owner of all properties discussed. No transfers will occur without his explicit written consent. We understand, Dad said quietly. After my legal team left, the family sat in uncomfortable silence. I'm not trying to hurt anyone, I said finally. But I'm also not giving away property I worked hard to acquire. Trevor, you want a house in a good school district? Start saving. Build your credit. Get pre-approved for a mortgage. Do what everyone else does. That could take years, Amanda said. It took me 13 years to build what I have. Welcome to long-term planning. Trevor stood abruptly. Come on, Amanda. Kids, get your stuff. We're leaving. They filed out without another word. Monica and Paul followed shortly after. Aunt Carol muttered something about young people today, and left with Uncle Jim. Only my parents remained. I'm sorry, Mom said finally. We were wrong. About everything. We thought we were helping Trevor, but we were taking from you. You were, I agreed. Why didn't you tell us? Dad asked. About the properties, the success, all of it? Because I learned early that having money makes you a target. Family stops seeing you as a person and starts seeing you as a resource. Today proved I was right. Dad's face crumpled. You think we just see you as a resource? Today you tried to redistribute my assets without asking me. What else should I think? We made a mistake. A huge mistake. He looked at me with something like desperation. Can we fix this? I thought about it. About the years of being overlooked, dismissed, treated as less successful because my achievements weren't visible. About this morning's ambush, the casual assumption that my property was negotiable. Maybe, I said. But it starts with respecting that what I've built is mine. Not family property. Not community resources. I earned it, I manage it, and I decide what happens to it. We understand, Mom said quickly. We do now. Do you? Because an hour ago, you were ready to give away my house without my consent. We were wrong, Dad repeated. Completely wrong. And we're sorry. 3 months later, Trevor called. Can we talk? We met at a coffee shop, neutral territory. He looked tired, humbled. I've been thinking about what happened, he began. About the breakfast ambush. About assuming you'd just give us your house. And it was entitled. Ridiculously entitled. Amanda and I have been working with a financial advisor. Actually budgeting, saving, living below our means. It's hard. It is. I'm sorry, Alex. For assuming. For thinking your success was somehow available for me to claim. For letting Dad convince me it was reasonable. Thank you. Can I ask you something? Sure. How did you do it? Build all that while we had no idea. I considered the question. I lived on about 30% of my income and invested the rest. I bought properties other people overlooked. Foreclosures, fixer-uppers, properties in developing neighborhoods. I did a lot of the renovation work myself. I was patient. And I kept it quiet because I knew the moment people knew I had money, they'd have opinions about how I should spend it. Like giving my family your house. Exactly like that. He nodded slowly. We found a house. Not in your neighborhood but decent schools, safe area. We're closing next month. It'll be tight financially, but it's ours. That's great, Trevor. Really? No help from you? He smiled slightly. No family discount on rent or secret property deals? Nope. You're doing this on your own. That's important. Yeah, he said. It is. A year after the breakfast confrontation, my portfolio had grown to 16 properties. I'd sold 2 underperforming assets and bought 3 better ones. My net worth had crossed $5 million. Mom called one evening. Can I take you to dinner? Just us. Over expensive pasta I knew she couldn't really afford, she said. I'm proud of you. I should have said that years ago. Should have celebrated every property you bought, every success you achieved. Thank you, Mom. Your father asks about your business now. Actually listens. He's trying to understand what he missed. I noticed. Monica's been talking to a financial advisor too. Trying to build something instead of just spending her salary. You changed things, Alex. By standing your ground that morning. I just protected what was mine. You did more than that. You made us see you clearly for the first time. Made us see what you'd built while we weren't paying attention. She reached across the table. Thank you for not giving up on us. For setting boundaries even when it was hard. I squeezed her hand. You're welcome. The house on Westwood Avenue remained mine. I eventually converted the whole basement into a full apartment and increased the rent to $1,500. The property value climbed to $450,000. My portfolio grew. 18 properties. 22. I built it all with clear boundaries and careful documentation. Everything protected. Everything mine. And my family learned to respect that. Finally,